Today's High Performance Podcast is brought to you by Josh Phegan Digital. It's the only place to track and keep yourself accountable by looking at all of the essential numbers, from buyer appointments, market appraisals and listing appointments, to listings, sales and income, and working in 45-minute sessions. You'll find it all on Josh Phegan Digital. Welcome to High Performance, the podcast featuring Josh Phegan and Alexander Phillips. Alex, one of the big conversations for any agent is about closing the gap. And what we're seeing now is that the home guarantee scheme, that there's going to be some changes, obviously. In Sydney, for example, you've got first home buyers now that can actually get a 5% deposit on a $1.5 million property if it's their first property. No income gaps, unlimited number of people can apply for it. What that's going to mean is that anything sub 1.5, it might be a bit bubbly. There's a few more buyers all of a sudden that might be coming into market. Vendor expectations might change pretty quickly. I always think there's tension between an owner's expectation and what's happening with the buyer. How do you go to close the gap? You know, getting the buyer to be able to see the extra value, to pay the extra $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000, but also to helping owners to understand about where the market considerations are. I think the RBA came out this week and said maybe there's going to be no more interest rate cuts because inflation's been raging again. Is it important to understand what's moving people's mindsets so you know how to go to negotiate when working with both the buyer and seller?
Josh, we were just talking about this yesterday in the office, our team meeting for today. And we've got a lot of apartments on the market around sort of Bondi at the moment.
Yes.
And we looked online, there's probably about 20 units for sale.
Yes.
And it's a bit of an oversupply. So, because everyone's trying to get onto this, and it's actually going to it's going to do the opposite.
Yes.
You know, flood the market, prices will come off a little bit. So it's sort of like sometimes you think it's going to do something, but it does something totally different, probably a bit like COVID too. You know,
yes.
So you've got to be really careful of that. But I suppose where vendors forget the most about is when they're buying or selling and where they're going to next isn't the same of what they're selling. So they're looking different areas, different price ranges, but they need to actually see what's happening in their market.
Yes.
Like they sort of forget about that. That's up to you as an agent to say, look, this buyer looked at these 5 properties on the weekend. This is what they're guiding. This one sold at auction for this. You want 1.5, that went for 1.4. You're not going to get it. Like you got to be pretty straight up and talk to them, you know, directly and bluntly about sort of what the scenarios are, because they're sort of got. What someone said to me yesterday was, if you tell someone the number, they're going to spend that number. So they sort of go, okay, they're being told 1.5. I want to buy something for $2 million, so I need 1.5. So they sort of already spent that number.
Yeah, and it was told by the mortgage broker,
they either had a bank val. The bank val's they're light on. You know, you know, they're always 10% below, which actually not me 10% above. But, but like, so then you've got to actually, it's conditioning. You got to tell them. You know, it's not that. And then you've had 50 groups through the door, and this is where you're at. And like, well, I suppose something that we've got more because of our high level of comms, and how detailed we are. That we can actually go into vendors now and say, guys, if we don't tell you this and you can sell it for less later, I'm just giving you this opportunity. You've got an offer at this level. We've had 10 properties sell for less this year. Our advice is to take it. If you don't want it, that's fine. We'll continue on. So it's all in how you deliver it to them. That gap, you probably get them down 100, buyer comes up 50, you sell it. You know, it's pretty straightforward sort of economics where you're sort of working on both sides, bringing it together. But I think it's important that, you know, not only that, but you can work on vendors, but you're actually there to work on the buyers. So there's something that we do really as well is an educational piece of buyers on what's sold, what they can compare it to, what they're thinking a comparison is, and sort of drag them through the journey of other better comparables and what that might mean to them and the opportunity cost of missing out on what they're looking at.
You're really good at understanding market by market by market, and markets can change on a dial. I know that over the last few years, you helped your parents in purchasing a property down the Southern Highlands. That's a big difference down there about what's actually happening in the second home market, lots of different challenges. What do you look at? You look at total amount of supply, so how many properties are available, how long are they taking to sell, what's happening at demand, a lot of properties selling at auction or not, are a lot of properties actually selling or not, are there lots of people at the opens or not? Then the next conversation is what's happening to borrowing capacity. Can I lend lots of money or not? And what's actually happening to servicing costs? How much does it cost me to lend $1 million? And then also too, what's the mood or the sentiment? So we know, for example, late November, early December, that mood and sentiment starts to shift and people are like, I'll just put it off until next year. And all of a sudden the buyers, are less of them coming through open for inspections in that second week of December. Like that's a really lethargic time. But yet you go early in January and you've got some of the best open for inspections that you get all year in terms of buyer activity. And so this is like really understanding that your job is to know what's actually happening. Do you see it different in different price segments? That you might say under 1.5's not too bad, 1.5 to 3 is going well.
And it's like changes daily.
Yeah, and that might be that there could be a share market influence, a taxation policy influence, or something else that's actually changing. Your job is to work out what market are you in and what do you do next when that actually happens.